The Ron G Morning Show with Martha Rice, also known as Coach Rice, and her guest is Dr. Robert J. Watkins. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, it is straight up 10 o'clock on WSAN Radio, and we are doing Monday with Martha, or she said Coach Rice, and love to have her on board and love to see that Dr. Watkins is in the house right now. And, you know, this is going to be a show. I've been telling everybody about this show for, I think, 3 weeks when Martha sent me everything going on. And I would tell you, y'all want to see a show? Come on out. We got you on this one right here. Am I right or am I wrong, Miss Martha?
You are absolutely correct. Good morning, listeners, and welcome to WSAN Radio this Monday morning. Today, we have a very special guest, like Ron said, with us, Dr. Robert J. Watkins. I've been following him on LinkedIn, dropping wisdom bombs from the Lord. Praise God. But Ron, I want to introduce you. First, I want to introduce you to Ronald Gordon, Robert. He is passionate about helping people in the community in here in San Antonio. He has this passion for helping small businesses get their voices out there, get their businesses out there. He want to help small businesses. He want to be the voice of the voiceless. And so he has been a very instrumental piece in my life as far as the business is concerned by giving me a voice on his radio station, which in turn gave me a voice on my podcast. And so I'm just walking out there in faith, and he kind of pushed me in that direction by giving me a platform on giving me a space on his platform, and I truly appreciate that. So I am so happy to have you here with us, and I want to introduce Robert to you, Ron, and all the listeners. Robert J. Watkins is a financial disruptor, best-selling author, international speaker, and financier. I hope I said that right. Dr. Watkins has been recognized with the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award by former Barack Obama, and is known as the Empire Builder. He's on a mission to educate, empower, and equip people around the globe to build empires that transform wealth into generations. Dr. Watkins, it is a pleasure to have you on this show today.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for not reading that entire boring bio. So I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ron. And I feel like I'm talking to family now, even though I'm in Orlando by way of Atlanta, by way of Detroit. But I do feel that I'm with family. So looking forward to this discussion. And my heart is to help people who have entrepreneurial dreams to create generational wealth for their grandchildren. And I just believe our communities will be better for it. The more freedom that we have, the more positivity we can bring to everyone.
Yes, I definitely agree. So, Dr. Watkins, your journey is, you're right, reading the whole bio was not boring, just to let you know. I could have read it because I just pulled out, like, not everything because I want to ask questions, but I promise you your bio is really, I can't even, like, to read it all would have the interview would have been over. No, but because it's very, very well put together. But not only that, watching you on Instagram, you're congruent. So that's very good. But you have an inspiring background, giving up at birth to a Detroit orphanage and becoming this global financial leader. Can you share with our listeners what drove you to embrace your calling, the empire builder, and how your early life experiences shaped that for you?
No, thank you again. I'm honored to be on the program. And I was born into the I was a ward of the state of Michigan at birth, and I'm over 50 years old now, and I just found out who my birth mother was. But for a majority of my life, I didn't know who my birth mother was or my birth father. Didn't know the story, didn't know where I was from, and majority of kids that was in that overrun Detroit orphanage. Many of them never made it out before age 18. Majority of them either died in a drug overdose or in a gang drive-by or some horrible disease. But my life was not supposed to live beyond age 24. And there was no family, there was no money, there was no credit. And if you didn't graduate from high school, which 70% of those kids didn't, their financial future and their physical future and emotional future was in peril. So not a lot of options for people who were considered orphans. I mean, you're talking about poor. These were the least of these. And somehow God's hand was on me. I began to read the story of Moses, and I related how he was adopted, how he was given up pretty much at birth. And just like me, nobody was adopting little black baby boys in Detroit, Michigan back in the 60s. As a matter of fact, they were trying to kill them. They were killing them legally. And so there was a law that was pronounced over Moses's life the same way that the firstborn of these slaves had to be killed. And so I related that, but then I saw how he became a leader and how he became educated. He educated himself and he became the Prince of Egypt. And I kind of related to that story, and I found myself in the Bible. And that's what really made the difference. So my mindset switched from being an orphan to being a leader. And I'll just tell you, what I believe the Lord said to me, like Moses led the children of Israel out of bondage. He said, likewise, Robert, that I want you to lead your people out of economic bondage, out of debt, and out of economic slavery. And so that's what really started this journey for me. And somehow I was fast and I got track scholarships, but I wasn't that smart. And so I ended up going into the Army. And in the Army is where I heard my voice for the first time. I became a leader. And they strapped that Private Watkins on me. That meant something to me, right? And I remember the drill sergeant called me to the front of the platoon. He said, call the men to attention. And I said, in my crackly 17-year-old voice, men, attention. Right. And those men snapped to attention, but something was released on the inside of me. I heard my voice for the first time. And I went from being a knucklehead to being, wow, I can actually lead men. And then I began to lead. And somehow I ended up in college and ended up going to school and went to B school. And somehow I got through all of that. And then I became this entrepreneur. But then I looked back and I saw that there was still a lot of brothers that were still trapped in this endless cycle of crime and not being productive and not knowing about entrepreneurship and about business. And that's when I started a ministry called Kings and Priests. And I began to teach school at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. And kind of the rest is history. Started with 8 guys. Now we have 17,000 members all around the world, and we're helping guys to start businesses. And my company is called Conquer Worldwide. And one of the things I noticed that even though I may have taught this class for 10 weeks on business and entrepreneurship and wealth building, generational wealth, they were still graduating and then saying, hey, Dr. Watkins, I need some money, right? So, and then I started going into churches and trying to teach adult this. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter what I was talking about, they needed money. And so we started a financial company called Conquer Consulting. And we do around $13-14 million a year in small increments of term loans and lines of credit. Most people don't need $1 million. They just need maybe $50,000 or $100,000, maybe to buy the equipment or to do some marketing. And so we've been doing that very quietly under the radar for about 15 years. And I'm pleased to kind of report that, we've got students and Black people now that are owning hotels and tech companies and bio companies. And it's just been a wonderful journey. And it all started because I saw myself in the word of trying to set our people free to create generational wealth. So the same things would happen to me that may happen to other people.
That is amazing. So
Now,
with
been a lot of hell
your,
between all of that. I don't want to say there's been a whole lot of hell in between there. Okay.
I can imagine, but that's amazing that you saw yourself in the story of Moses, because we all can relate to someone in the Bible in different seasons in our lives, right? And now you got a call to something that, and it's interesting that because Moses didn't, he was like, I can't speak.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
He had a real big issue. Just like me. Who's gonna listen to an orphan, right? You know, and that's the way the world branded me. It's like Moses is like arguing with God. Well, who's going to listen to me? I have a stuttering problem, right? How am I going to talk to the Pharaoh? And by the way, there's a bounty on my head. So whoever sees me first is going to get paid for killing me, right? So
Right.
so he had a lot of things against him, and that's why I could relate to it, especially as Black men and Black people in general, just minorities. There's a lot of things against us. The bank says no, you know, a million times, bad credit, the divorce, the bankruptcy, you know, I flunked out of college. You know, there's a lot of things that are against us. It's just a very skin color, just showing up the wrong way. You know, there's a lot of things against us. And so I was trying to help people become entrepreneurs. And the mistake that I was making is that all these other issues was coming against them, all this other pressure that we couldn't see. I had to remove that. That's why I called it our ministry, removing those burdens of insecurities and inadequacies and the inability to talk, or worse yet, you have to check that box said, you know, you're a felon. Right? Have you committed a felony? Yes, I got caught, you know, with some dope when I was 17 years old. Now you're 40 years old and it's still following you. So you have all of these issues that we have to kind of like wade through. And I said, you know what? Forget all this. We're going to start our own bank. And we're going
That is
to
brilliant.
ourselves. We're going to be the underwriter, because all the other underwriters that I know, do you check that box? You're Black, you're this, you're that, you're another. The answer is no. Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we live at the no. And by the time they come to me, they've been, you know, they're so broken. And that's why we say, you know what does God call you to do? And when we get there, then life can start all over again.
That is so hopeful. And you now the lender, not the borrower. Which is so powerful, how God moved you in that direction and how your obedience is bearing fruit in the land. So that's amazing. So what hurdles do small businesses have to overcome before they even get to you?
Well, when someone doesn't have a clear vision, it's hard to plan around a foggy vision. So that's why I say, for me, I had to first of all identify who I am before I can talk about money, business planning, equipment, etc. I got to figure out who I am, right? And we build a model around that, not your gifting. I'm talking about who your identity, and we struggle with that, right?
Right.
If you look at, you know, most successful people, whether Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, or, you know, or Bill Gates, they, you know, if you scale it all the way, they know who they are. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business, and this now where are you going, right? If you look at Amazon, it's just a affiliate marketing. It's a website that sells other people's products.
Right.
I mean, that's just what it is. But he knows who he is. He's an entrepreneur. All right. And so let's define that and let's write that down. Let's make that clear. And once that's clear, like for me, I had to figure out, who am I? I am a natural wealth builder. Right. I naturally motivate and strategize with people. That's who I am. Now, how do I want to help people? Right. Through books, through education, etc. So that's the main thing. Even before we talk about the product, even before we talk about the branding, we got to figure out who you are. And the reason why that's so key is because when you go through hard times over the next 2 or 3 years, and you're going to go through hard times as a business owner. You're not subject to quit when you know who you are. You can pivot.
Amen to that.
Right. And that's the first thing. And then the second thing is having a clear plan, right? Where's the money? I need a clear path to the money. If I can get a clear path to the money, then I can create a path to the actual money itself. So for example, we do a ton of surveys, right? Before we open up a hotel or build an apartment complex, just like Chick-fil-A, before they go into a market, they do a highest and best use study. So they build according to the demand. So we're not guessing about our money, about our business. We know where the business is. We know where the demand is. And so we build toward that. We brand towards that. We create products towards that. We create sales strategies towards the demand. And just like if you write a book, I wrote a book called Never Chase a Paycheck Again 7 years ago. Well, what was happening 7 years ago? Well, the economy was bad. People didn't have jobs. Money was low. So I wrote a book called Never Chase a Paycheck Again. Sold over 100,000 copies because the title matched the demand. Now, everybody has a job now, and inflation is high. So if I wrote a book called How to Overcome Inflation, it probably would be a mild bestseller, right?
Right.
Politicians, but the point is that I'm doing a highest and best use study towards the demand. And a lot of people, we miss that because we're so passionate about what we want to do. Why you want to do something and there's no demand for it, or there's no market for it. Now, there are some small occasions where you can create demand, and you can create, like entertainers, they can create a demand, right? But that's not the norm. But that's an issue where many of us, we miss that portion of it, the scientific portion of it, because if you do that right, then money becomes very easy.
So it sounds like you built systems around this platform using the book Never Chase a Paycheck. Then you got another book, 10 Commandments of Financial Healing. And so how do you help? How would you be able to help listeners to achieve their financial freedom with the systems that you built?
Well, we have something, our system is called the Conquer Way. And it starts with a 2-hour meetings, and we dig around in your heart. And the first meeting is just with that entrepreneur. And the second meeting is with them and their board, or them and their family, or them and their, if you're married, a husband and wife. We believe in community, right? And so we love family businesses. We love when the family business come together and say, we want to start a dollar store in our city because there's no dollar stores in our city. Great. And so who can run the cash register? You got a teenager who says, well, I know about cash register. I learned about accounting. And then, well, who does the books? Well, the dad is an accountant. Who can clean up the bathrooms? And then you got a little 7-year-old kid. I can clean out the bathrooms. All right, great. We got a business, right? And who knows? So the point is that we have a family. That's the family unit, right? Because now you've got the kids that are growing up in this business. And now they're learning the tenets of business, things that they're not getting in school. We did this for a couple in Augusta, Georgia. It was two guys. One guy was a used car salesman making $25,000 a year. Another guy was a janitor. They came to me and they said that they wanted to open a dollar store. It's just so weird. I said, you guys got any money? No credit, no experience, no retail experience. They didn't have anything, but they had a vision. And they had a partnership, and their wives were on board. And we gave them a plan. They became Conquer clients, which simply means they paid $500 for those 2 meetings. So they got to invest in themselves. And then we said, listen, if both of you guys raise your credit scores up to 700, this is what you have to do. Then we can get you a small business loan. Normally, that's when they stop. We thought Dr. White was going to give us some money. No, they came back. They both had 750 credit scores. Got them $167,000 and a line of credits. Opened up an LLC, poured the money into it. They did what was right with the money. And they went and they found this space across the street from Augusta Mall in Augusta, Georgia. They opened up a 4,000 square foot retail center. Their wives work in the store. Their children work in the store. And the testimony wasn't they opened up the store. I love what this guy said, Jeff Higgs. He said, man, the greatest time in my life was walking in the church on Sunday and saying, I need 6 people to start working on Monday.
Wow.
It's community development. That is moving the ball forward. That is helping people, helping other families. It's still open today, and they're doing great. They're doing about $1 million a year.
Wow.
That's big.
Those are the types of stories that I'm hoping that other people beyond me will begin to kind of help other people. And it started with them investing in themselves. I give them credit for that. I said, listen, man, you guys found $500. That's where it started for you. Because most people think this must be a scam. This must, we don't trust each other.
Yeah, that's so true.
And they made the first step, and we made a big giant step for them. And I'm hoping that they'll pay it forward for other people. As a matter of fact, they're looking for a second location now.
Oh, wow. So how is Kings and Priests, is that part of that system?
Now, Kings and Priests is Conquer Worldwide is a for-profit arm. It's our business arm. It's our financial arm. It's a consultant. Okay. But then I discovered that there's a whole group of people called men who have our own individual issues.
Okay.
Insecurities from working with each other. And so we started Kings and Priests to empower men specifically in the area of marketplace and identity and getting rid of securities so they can become a master provider, lover to their wives, great fathers to their children. They want to do these things, but a lot of us, we just don't have the mentorship or a coach. And most of us who may have a pastor or some sort of father figure or uncle, sometimes we can walk around feeling insecure because that person let us down. Like for me, I didn't, although I was adopted eventually, I didn't really have a mentor to show me how to tie a tie or show me how to write a business plan or show me how to treat a woman. So all the information I had about women came from the streets. So now I'm dealing with girlfriends, right? Based on information that don't work. Okay. And so, because I didn't have the right image, right? And so it took me a long time to figure out what works and doesn't work. And so we started Kings and Priests to help prevent misfortune in the lives of men so they can be the king that God has called them to be and have the money that they're supposed to have.
Oh, okay. So that's definitely, that's a powerful thing to do because you're investing in the future as well, using men, because it's not a lot of groups for men out here. It's not a lot of mentorship for men. And so that it's so good to have you on so people can see that there is a space for that now. And is it an age group? What's the age range in that group?
Well, we like men to start at 18 years old. So our average age is from 29 to like 49, kind of that area right there in their working years. A lot of them have gotten married. A lot of them have gotten married and divorced. And one of the things that we struggle with, I know we didn't want to talk about men, but we don't recover as fast as women. So if we go through a bankruptcy or a divorce, we tend to live in regret a long time. And normally most men only have 1.7 friends. And that 1.7 guy is normally a crazy guy giving you the wrong information, right? So, if somehow you end up going to jail or you end up getting fired or you end up going through divorce or you get sick or something of that nature, typically it's difficult for a man to recover as quickly as women. And so we're there to provide that support. Right. So it's not just entrepreneurial and business, although that does play a big thing. But we're there to provide that support so they can get to the next level. And like I went through a divorce and so I was able to get back on my feet. I was able to settle things and be right because I had resources. But a lot of people who don't have resources, they're subject to the courts. They're subject to whatever the world values you at. And normally for men, we unfortunately close your ears for a second, Coach Rice. But normally men get the short end of the stick sometimes, uh, because we're so used to playing Superman, right? And
Right.
life smacks you down, and you realize you're not as super of a man that you thought you were. You got to start asking for help. That's when we have trouble sometimes. But
And that's what a power is. Asking for help is what a power is, because you realize that I need the support. We meant to
women
be
see
really
how wonderful that comes out of you.
right.
Folks,
I know
that's
it
like,
doesn't come out of
see, that's just like, yeah, that's where the power comes from. We don't think like that because we got pride and ego and shame and
right.
doubt, right? We've got all this stuff covering up. I'm not supposed to be crying. I'm not supposed to be sad, right? And so it's like, wait a minute, man, you wake up, right? And so we have to teach men how to be vulnerable because nobody taught you that.
That's
And
true.
teach men how to ask for help. Because nobody taught you that. You're supposed to have all the answers.
Right.
And so anyway, I can talk all day about men
But
and
you're not all knowing and all you're not all knowing like the Lord, but I love the fact that I love that side of me and the vulnerable side. So it's good that you're bringing this up, because a lot of people, especially the fact that you successful bringing it up, because a lot of times men they do feel like that. I see it a lot of times, and it will hinder your growth if you allow your ego to stand in the way, you
well,
know.
I've got, I've got a wife and two daughters. I don't, for a man to come to a woman and see, we have to be careful how we be vulnerable. Because most women don't want to hear, man, I'm broke, I'm sick, things don't work, I'm sexually inept. I need help. How would you respond to that?
I have a husband, and he can be transparent without losing his position with me. I'm just different like that. God wired me that way, and I love how he wired me to be able to be the wife that can say, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together. You're gonna fall, but together you can get back up. And I'm your wife, and I'm standing in the gap for you, praying for you. I'm praying for you all the time, because I know, although you have to have a tough exterior for the world, when you come home, you don't have to be that person.
Okay. Well,
And so that's how my husband and I operate. And that's no joke. He can be who he want to be at home. When you get out on the street, I know you have to be a certain way for certain reasons, but when you come home, you can be who you are.
and that's
And I've
wonderful.
learned to take off hats. Like, I'm a wife when I need to be a wife. I'm a coach if I need to be a coach. I'm a friend if I need to be a friend. So when he comes to me, I'm like, what are you communicating? What that gives me a chance to see what hat I need to wear,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I can be the support he need. And that's kind of how we function. Now, are we perfect? No. But that's one area that God has very, very much said, really gave me a great, gave me a lot of teaching in. And so I thank him for that. And so, yeah, but men don't, I love when we talk about men too, because they don't have enough platform for that, for feelings, emotions, and how to break that down, and how to still be a man with all of that.
All
you
right.
know.
And we have a lot of tools. We have our own private community behind our website of Kings and Priests. And where men can be vulnerable, they can, talk, they can ask questions, they can post events, they can, deal with. We have an area where they can just complain because most men don't have any place to go to complain. Um, and so it's very private, it's very exclusive. And then for those who are in business, we have those same resources, financial resources for them as well. And we've had some great guys like TD Jakes and Miles Monroe and John Maxwell and people like that have come through Kings and Priests to help come alongside me and to help mentor these guys. And it's been a great journey for that as well. So for those men that are out there who need help or trying to get to the next level, whether it's publicly or financially or privately, they can go to kingsinc.com and we'd be glad to help them get to the next level for sure.
So the onboarding process what I heard you say was first the initial $500, and then your credit score to 700 and above, correct?
Well, on the Conquer side,
That,
you know,
yeah, on the Conquer side.
oh, yeah, on the entrepreneurship side, yeah, so it's $500 for those 2 1-hour meetings, right?
Two
And that
1 hour
first meeting,
meetings.
and I always do the first meeting, and based upon what is needed in that second meeting, because I have people who are skilled in social media, in finance, have CPAs, have lawyers that work for us full time, and so depending upon the next step for you, that next meeting will bring on the additional professional that you need.
Oh,
Um,
okay. And then that would be the credit. Is that the credit aspect of it?
when it comes to the financing, now what we like to see a 680 or 690 credit score.
Okay.
At least tells us that you pay your bills. Okay.
Right.
We do that, right? So you got to have some income. We like for you to pay yourself at least $40,000 a year.
Okay.
So that's pretty much our criteria. We don't ask for collateral because we're not trying to take your house or your car if you get behind on the payments. So the worst thing that can happen is that you take a hit on your credit score. So you have to personally guarantee it. And for us, that just means, if you get $100,000 from us, that $100,000, although it's a business loan, it would be on your personal credit report. And it'll
Got
say
it.
you pay it off. And we don't take any equity in your company. It's your company. We don't take any ownership there. There's no mandates in terms of you got to hit these milestones. If it's a line of credit, if you get $100,000, you only need 20,000 next month. You only pay back what you spend. And so, which means you will have a 5-year amortization schedule based on the $20,000. The other $80,000 would just stay in reserve.
Oh, okay.
Now, if it's a term loan, then the entire $100,000 comes over into your business bank account. And I say that purposely because we don't do personal loans. So it comes over into your business bank account, and you'll have a 5-year amortization schedule based upon the entire $100,000 over a 5-year period.
Okay.
And there's no prepayment penalty. So let's just say real estate owners and investors, they love this program because they'll get the $100,000, invest $80,000 into an investment property, take 20,000 of that, rehab the property. Now the property is worth, say, $150,000. They sell it or they flip it, they pay us back, and they make $50,000, and and there's no prepayment penalty.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And so after they receive the money, is there a next? What is the next step?
So for us, depends on the industry that you're in. If for those who are real estate investors out there that are listening, for us is really not about the $100,000. It's really not about the one investment property. Remember, we're trying to help you build generational wealth. This is about you owning 10 properties, 20 properties, 40 properties. So we're hoping that after this initial transaction, you make $50,000, you re-up with us again to consult with you, right? To now, let's create a plan for you to own 10 properties over the next 3 years. So, right. And so now we're building a portfolio. So that's why I try to get our people or people in general out of a hustle mindset. Let's
Right.
build a portfolio. Let's create a holding company. And every property that you buy has its own individual LLC. And what connects the holding company is you and your spouse, or you and your family. And what connects to each property, each LLC, to the holding company is a operating agreement. An operating agreement can say that 20% of each property's profit rolls up to the holding company. And then that entire structure, the holding company and all the individual LLCs, now you got 10 properties, 10 LLCs, all producing money because you got renters in there. We put the entire thing into a blind trust. The blind trust is what we give to our children. That's generational.
That's generational wealth.
Right. So I don't care if you're Donald Trump, if you like him or not, or Mitt Romney. The reason why they all say sue me, because they say I don't own anything, but I control everything. The key is their name is not on anything. Your name is not on the blind trust or any of the LLCs or the holding companies. So when you put into a blind trust, even the government doesn't know what's in the blind trust.
Wow.
That's why there's no death taxes. There's no taxes associated with the blind trust. That's why when a person expires and goes on to be with the Lord, they go to the attorney, and for the first time, everybody's hearing what's in the blind trust.
Ah.
The attorney doesn't even know what's in the blind trust. So the key is keeping the government away from your income, keeping taxes away from eroding, and inflation away from eroding. So your profits is truly profitable. And hopefully you give this blind trust to your children, they grow it, and they give it to their children. And that is blind trust. So I try to get people out of hustle mode, saying, I just got to make money, got to make money right now. No, let's get into a wealth building mode. I got to build wealth. I got to build wealth. I got to build wealth. And so this first property you buy, this first $100,000, we want to turn this into $1 million in 2 years, into $5 million in 4 years, into $10 million in 9 years. That's the plan. And that's where we're trying to get all of our clients and our community people to think like that.
And you can do that with any business, right?
Any business, technology business, entertainment business, podcasts, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And, and whoever, whoever has any amount of wealth, they have this structure. And we're not taught it.
That's powerful. Okay, Ron, I know you got some questions. I know you do.
Okay.
I'm listening. He hit a nerve on the financial side of it. Martha would tell you it came to a point I was getting fed up with what I was doing, because I'm self-financing this radio station, and it's all right because I'm using my retirement to pay for everything. I was thinking a while back, getting to the point I hadn't paid myself in over 10 years. I was working at a full-time job when I retired 3 years ago. I'm doing this now full-time. I have not yet received a paycheck, but the problem is I like what I'm doing. And, I like helping people. And so when I went to the bank to try to get a loan, I wanted a $10,000 loan. They told me they couldn't help me out. This is what they said exactly. Well, if you had $100,000 in the bank, we'd give you a $10,000 loan. I said, I wouldn't need a $10,000 loan if I had $100,000 in the bank.
Don't want to give money to people who have money, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I sat there and said, so right now, I'm not going to quit. I'm not a quitter, because I do a lot of things for people around here and everything. So, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement. When you get out, I don't feel I'm over my head on anything. Everything's being paid. My house is paid for, both cars are paid for, all that's done. So I really don't have to really go back and have, I need this money to pay this. I don't have that burden on me. The burden I have on me is I'm trying to get out to our people to help support, which is the hardest thing to do. So I start putting something in my pocket instead of I'm always handing out. And I will continue to hand out because I'm always giving. I'm always doing things. But, listen to you saying about the finance side of it. Yes, it's a struggle for Black business. And with me being in the radio business, oh God, is it a struggle with equipment and everything? I'm telling you, some people don't realize on the back end, this equipment is not cheap. Mm-hmm. When you go out and you buy everything, you do everything, but every morning I get up at 5 o'clock, ready to go, do my thing Monday through Friday, some Saturdays, and at the end of the day, I got a smile on my face because I helped somebody out. So I see what you're doing, and I recognize what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I wish there was more people out there doing what you're doing, because I'm a talk to a bunch of youth and let them know where to go to. And that's going to you, because I have a lot of youth out there. They're just running around. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't have a clue. I always tell everybody, if you have a hobby, yeah, make it a business. So it's more of a statement of the question.
No, first of all, hats off to you. But it is important for you to pay yourself. It is. So it's you're very humble. You're doing out of a labor of love, but you're the reason why we exist. And if you're I know you're in the media industry, but you're in the service business. And so no service can survive, whether you are a law firm, accounting firm, a taxi cab or Uber. It doesn't matter. If you're providing some type of service, you cannot survive by spending your principal. You can't. So a law firm, an accounting firm, a service-oriented firm, they all have a line of credit. So the line of credit pays for their the office lease, it pays for salaries, it pays for office supplies, so it pay so they can't, if they had to take the $300 an hour that they're making as a lawyer to pay for stuff, there's no law firm that could ever survive and still pay people. The reason why during the Great Recession, the reason why a lot of those firms went under, it wasn't because the lack of business, it was because the banks cut off the line of credit. And the line of credit is what paid employees and paid, just like I was just saying earlier about the line of credit. If you have $1 million line of credit, let's say a $10,000 line of credit, and you only need $2,000 next month for your equipment, for your lease, etc., you just pay back that $2,000 maybe in 3 months. But the money you do make, you have to use that to further the business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not doing that, then you're never going to get ahead. I don't care who you are, you're never going to get ahead in that particular space. So I would say that a line of credit, and you're right, you probably didn't look the part or play the part or whatever the bank said no to, is that there's other sources out there that there are sources out there that will do equity, that will provide an equity injection into your business so that you can continue on. So there's other things other than banks.
Yeah.
That banks are not in the business of they're in the debt and slavery business. It's like the mob. They're in the criminal organization business. They're not in the equity business. They're just not. I'm sorry, Doctor. That's first.
No, I have a question about the equity part that you just mentioned. What is that? What does that look like?
So equity is
to give into his, when you said they'll give you equity.
Right. An investor, like an angel investor.
Oh, okay.
Somebody says an angel investor is a silent investor. They'll say, well, here's $10,000, and they're not going to bother you for a year. So you say, well, in the second year, we'll promise, that we'll start paying you dividends. And it may be $200 a month. So that $10,000, they're putting their money to work. So it's not debt. It's cash. And it's up to you to manage that cash to grow your business. Right? So they're not in your business. They're a silent partner. Now, what do they get in exchange? You may give them some ownership in your business. So for $10,000, you may give them 5% of the ownership in the business. And then you may give them what's called dividends. Maybe it's $150, $200 a month, which is really good, which is, 2 or 3 or 4% on a monthly basis. That's pretty good. I give you $10,000 and I get $200, $300 a month from the profits in the business. So that's equity. So it's not debt, because now I'm investing in not just the profits, but the losses as well. So if the company loses money, then I lose money.
Yeah.
If the company makes money, then I make money. As opposed to, I'm giving you $10,000 worth of debt. Now I'm putting all kind of pressure on you with a monthly payment to to pay it back. And if you don't pay it back, I'm coming to take something from you.
Got it.
Right. So where do you
That's
get equity from? You can get equity from family, friends, or fools, as I always say, right? So, but there's somebody in your fear. We're just talking about you for a second, and your circumference. Hey, they got $10,000. They'd be willing to invest in. Just show me how I'm going to make money. Shark Tank 101. If you watch Shark Tank, right?
yeah, I love Shark Tank. Love Shark Tank.
That's equity.
Okay.
They're saying, I'll give you $500,000. Damon John says, I'll give you $500,000 for 17% of your company. It's not debt, it's cash. So if you take this money and go to Tahiti for 2 years, I can't find you. Well, I lost money. Because I'm sharing in the profits and the losses of the company.
Right. So you're taking the risk as well.
Right. We're all taking the risk together.
Right. Right. Okay. That makes sense. Wow. That's powerful.
Conversation to me as an investor is to, I don't want to get too technical, but to mitigate my risk or to lower my risk. So if I give you this $10,000, tell me how you're going to use it and tell me how you're going to, make me sleep good at night, right? Mitigate my risk, lower my risk, right?
Okay. So let me ask you this question. What advice do you have for like those who struggling to get out of debt and build wealth at the same time?
Yeah, it's a great question. Most people have heard in school to save, right? And right now in this economy, because of inflation, it's really hard to save. So most people have a saving mindset. But here's the mistake that we're making that leads to struggle. Most of us save to save. But wealth builders don't save to save. We save to invest. So I'm trying to save $100 a month, not for the sake of putting it into a savings account and making 0.05% interest. I'm trying to save $100 a month for the next year where I can save $1,200 for the year so I can invest it into a duplex. Or I invest it into a stock or invest it into cryptocurrency. So I'm saving to invest. Most people save for a car, which is a liability. Or most people save for, we're proficient in saving for a house that you eventually never really own. And so most of us don't have any cash flowing assets. And because we don't have any cash flowing assets most of our lives, that's why we're always struggling. Because the only asset we have is our physical bodies getting up to go to a job, who always devalues us. Us just mean people in general. They'll look at your life, they'll say, well, let's look at your resume. Oh, you have a master's degree, or you have this, or you have that. Oh, well, we'll pay you $75,000 a year. They just valued your life because we spend 70% of our waking hours working.
So true.
But if you have cash flowing assets, like or assets that appreciate, and I say things like anything that God has made is going to appreciate during the times of struggle and famine. Things like land, real estate, gold, oil, ideas, food, commodities. These things that while I'm saving so I can invest into a commodity. The reason why real estate is so valuable is because God is not making anymore. And so I got to get my hands on the raw material that appreciates. I bought a house in Atlanta, 2017 for like $235,000 in investment property. Didn't do anything to it. I sold it in last year for $437,000. So that $200,000, I didn't do anything to it. I didn't put any more money into it. I barely was there. I probably stayed there 3 times. But the point is, I didn't do anything, and I made $200,000. But it was something that God made, land.
Right.
So you have to know the season of, just like Joseph, who told Pharaoh to invest into grain because it's during the years of plenty. So during the years of plenty, 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. Right now, we're in the 7 years of plenty. If you need gas, there's plenty of gas. If you need food, there's a grocery store down the street. If you want a Big Mac, I guarantee you there's probably a Big Mac within a mile. Food is everywhere. So it didn't make sense for Joseph to consult with Pharaoh to say to store up grain because grain was plentiful. It was during the years of plenty. But then he said there's coming a famine, years of famine. And so here's how wealth is made from an entrepreneurial standpoint. During the years of plenty is not the time to spend money. It's the time to save money so you can invest money. We've seen this movie before. When Barack Obama came to power, the economy was in the tank. And now those $400,000 houses was now worth $80,000. And so now, but if you had $80,000, then you can go out and buy that $400,000 house for $80,000, wait a couple of years, that house goes back up to $400,000, and guess what? You just made $320,000 because you saved during the years of while everybody else is traveling, everybody else is buying, Perkas and Gucci and Versace and 32-inch weaves and red bottom shoes, and they balling out because the bank is giving out credit cards and everybody's driving good, right? Wealthy people are sitting back and say, I ain't doing that. During the years of plenty, it's when you should be saving to invest, because it's going to come a time when food is going to be scarce, energy is going to be scarce, inflation is going to be high, and we're going into that year, and I believe we're going into that year of famine, because I believe
I believe that too.
We're in the 6th year. Economists understand this. I'm just kind of breaking it down. We're in that 6th year of the year of plenty, and it's getting ready to shift. I don't care who's in the White House, but it's getting ready to shift into very difficult times financially. And guess what? Whoever has the $80,000 laying in the bank who saved during the years of plenty is going to build wealth. And so that's the mindset that we have to. Are you guys following me here? Because I can get. I'm
following you. That's why we quiet. We like. Wait, that's why we quiet, because we taking it all in.
All right, okay, all right. I just want our people to get it, is that don't follow the crowd. Don't just.
You right.
Stop listening to what Kim Kardashian is saying and what Kanye West is wearing. Okay, they're wearing $500 gym shoes. Let them do that. That's not for you. Okay, for right now. If you're trying to build wealth, this is the year of plenty. And there's plenty of jobs. There's plenty of everything. Everything's plentiful. But we've seen this movie before, when retirement funds get eroded, people get kicked out of their homes because they can no longer afford it. Listen, here in America, we are a country of renters. And in the minority community, it's even worse. We're about 80% renters. We don't own anything. And then those who do own homes, and hats off to you, Brother Ron, for owning your home and your cars. I own my house too. But that's not the norm. The norm
is not.
You have a mortgage. You really don't own that house. Don't pay that house payment for 2 years. 2 months. You'll find out who really owns that house.
Yeah.
Okay. It's getting ready to happen again. We shouldn't be in a position of losing houses. We should be in a position of gaining houses.
Mm-hmm. Right. That was good.
I like that.
Ron, you got anything before I go in, before I ask another question?
I'm like a sponge. I'm absorbing all this. I know,
me too. I'm like a sponge too. I'm taking it all in.
You know what this reminds me of? If the dinner table is quiet, that means the food is good.
That is so true. That is so true.
What you talk right now, we're being quiet because what you're saying is some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have the same.
Yeah, you are. You saying some good stuff. I love how. And it kind of reminds me of like something you said on Instagram. On LinkedIn recently about, and I'm just gonna paraphrase because I kind of related it to the business that I have, and how in the life coaching business, you have ebb and flows. You got when people go on vacations, I noticed the trend was when people during the season, people go on vacations, you don't get as many clients. You don't get as many clients around the holidays. So you get those ebb and flows because people are doing things with their family. So the least thing they want to do is come see you, right? It's after the holidays when they dealt with the dysfunction or something with their family members, they may call you. But started to see God was showing me different things that was coming my way that I didn't even intend. It just fell in my lap. And when he showed me the streams of income, the possibilities in the business that I was actually walking in, I started to put together. And he said, and he, spoke to me, not in verbal voice, but through the word of God, that in Proverbs, build a house with rooms and make sure you seek many advisors and make sure that each room has values. When he gave me that scripture, it made me picture the house with my 7 streams of income that he had given me, and showed me, okay, this is how I want you to structure it. And but now I'm building systems, I'm building a business plan. He's like, it's time to build a business, it's time to get this, business going the way you want to go because of the heart you have for it. And you said yes to you said yes to what I wanted you to do. So now I'm in a position where he's teaching me, and that's why I'm like quiet, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm taking it all in. But you mentioned about something on LinkedIn about how wealth, what that vision he gave me is the wealth, basically. And how he laid it out. Plus, you gave me I saw, it was something I watched, I think it was one of your YouTube videos where you talked about in Ecclesiastes 11:2, how he said, go and have 8 streams of income. And I never knew that existed until I heard that out of I'm like, oh my God, that brought, like, I wanted to run. I wanted to literally, it was like fire shut up in my bones when that happened, because I'm like, Lord, you see me, this is you speaking to me. This is you speaking to me, telling me what to do. And all I got to do is walk in it. But it's interesting how you're walking in it. You got this vision, you're walking in it. But to be transparent, you made so many bad choices along the way that now you have to build. But you're building on, like, God removing bad habits. You build it from the ground up almost over again, because God is removing bad habits and bringing you into the stream. And you like, how could this be happening over here? You gave me this, but this happening over here. But it's the faith of the mustard seed that keeps me going, and the ear that I need to listen to what God's direction, so I won't make foolish decisions.
Yeah.
Going forward.
That's great. And I'll use that. Solomon wrote that. And before Solomon built a house, you're not going to hear this in churches preach this, right? And I'm married to a pastor. We have a big mega church here in Orlando, Florida. But before Solomon built the house, he built a system. And that system was in Ecclesiastes 11:2. He said, invest in 7, yes, 8 ventures, income streams, for you don't know what evil may come upon the land. Well, when you have 7 to 8 income streams, you don't care what evil comes upon the land. So what he was saying was, I need to build a system of 7 income streams, because I can't build God a house with 1 income stream, with me going to a job every day. Me and my wife going to a job every day is not going to get the job done. It's going to stress us out. It's going to be like Robert Watkins, be bald-headed, because he's chasing money for so much, right? Anything you do for money will stress you out. It will. God never designed the system. And so the 7 streams of income, that was his system. And so for your system as a life coach, it's your core. All these other systems, all these other streams of income should be attached to your core.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's attached to my core.
You could be out selling used cars this morning. That's not attached to your core.
No, not at all.
Charismatic, you smile, you can sell. They be like, oh, I want to do business with her. She's so wonderful. Oh, she's so this and and you're like miserable because it's not attached to your core. But you got on a podcast today talking about business and entrepreneurship, community, helping people. All that's attached to your core. It's attached to Ron's core. It's attached to my core. And if we kept talking, this is a business. We can come up with probably 7 other streams of income, right? And
right.
we're happy for it, right? You're saying, I'm doing this because this is in my heart. Ron's doing media because it's in his heart. He ain't got paid in years. He's not doing it for the money. Now, if money comes, when money comes, and then all of a sudden you ain't got Robert Watkins, you got Denzel Washington on here. You ain't got me. You got Jamie Foxx. You're not coming after y'all. Forgot about me. You got Jamie Foxx on. He's singing and entertaining and making y'all laugh and do what he does best. Right now, you can make a greater influence, right?
Exactly.
And so we just have to figure that out. And I'm saying Solomon, the reason why we haven't seen that, because in the King James Version, it says to give. And the people who are trying to explain that scripture are trying to raise an offering. And Solomon wasn't trying to raise an offering. He was saying, this is the system that I have. Make sure the money that we have and the resources we have to build God a house. Matter of fact, my father failed at it, David, but now it's up to me, and I have a system. And that's what you need to have, so that you can have Jamie Foxx on here and not Robert Watkins. So that's I believe Jamie's coming. He's coming. And Wilson.
Oh Lord, we got you. That's good.
Right.
So we done came up on the hour, and I don't want to impinge upon your time, because I know time is of the essence.
This has been good. Thank you.
But we truly thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today, taking out the time to do that, because I got you on speed dial.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna need help with them systems. I'm building the systems, but I'm gonna need help with that wealth system that you have. I'm definitely gonna need your services for that. But it's been an absolute honor to really have you on the show. But before we wrap up, where can the listeners get in touch with you and connect with you?
Yeah, Conquer Worldwide on the business side is conquerworldwide.com. That's CONQUER worldwide.com. I'm all over, Instagram, Robert J. Watkins, Facebook, Robert J. Watkins. I think LinkedIn, Robert J. Watkins as well, Twitter, X. And on Kings and Priests for the Men, they can go to kingsinc.com, or they can always call our office at 888-526-1118.
And if I'm in Atlanta, maybe I'll come visit y'all church.
Yeah, well, we're in Orlando. The church is in Orlando.
Oh, it's in Orlando.
Yes,
Okay.
we're in Florida, but we do have a big office in Atlanta as well, so still there.
Okay, got it. Okay. So, Ron, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah.
My closing remarks is I'm going to get you back on, because you have enlightened me with some of the things that you're saying, because every time Martha brings somebody on, I learn something new. And knowing this is out there, it's going to be a blessing for some of the youth I'm going to talk to and tell them about you, because this needs to be passed on at an early age.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And anytime you just call me, I guarantee I'll be on.
Okay. We appreciate it. Martha, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This was wonderful. Great interview. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Talk to y'all later.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ron G Morning Show. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow us on YouTube. Peace and chicken grease. I'm out.